Welcome to the Other Star franchise, the anti-fascist Star Wars podcast where a couple of Trekkies from the Star Trek fandom discuss Star Wars. We are watching the Star Wars shows, movies, and animation in chronological order leading up to the release of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie later this year. Today we are discussing episodes of The Clone Wars, which take place in 21 BBY. So just to tell on ourselves a little bit, we were making a big deal last week how it's going to take forever to get out of the year 22 BBY. I didn't realize that we actually did cross over into 21 BBY, so we are making progress in The Clone Wars. You also might notice if you're watching the video format of the show that we are not on screen. We are voice only. So, or you might see like a cool profile picture of the two of us looking cute. So, but I'm Fatheree. This is Taylor. Taylor, you want to say hi?
Hi guys. You ready for more Clone Wars? This is gonna be like a long journey ahead. But I think, did we cross into season 2 yet?
That's a good question. So the next episode we discuss will be season 2, but we haven't done any we did do one season 2 episode previously, right? We did. The season 2 episode 16 is Cat and Mouse, right? Yeah. So I guess we've already done season 2. We did season 2 before we did season 1.
But like the last few that we've watched have all been very release order season 1, but also chronological.
Right. Yeah. So the 10 episodes we're going to discuss today, actually, I will go ahead and pull up our lovely spreadsheet so that people can see that if they are watching the video version of the show. But I think it's 10 episodes, right? Again, this is the amateurish show we do. If you want to see us be slightly more professional and polished, go watch us. Check us out on TEX-TREK. Yeah, there we go. But so for the Other Star franchise today, we are going to be covering Season 1, Episode 1, 11, Dooku Captured, all the way up to Season 1, Episode 21, Liberty on Ryloth. So we're going to start picking up the episode that came out right after the last one we talked about previously. Lair of Grievous was the last episode, and that was actually around the time we crossed over into 21 BBY. It was the episode before that, Cloak of Darkness. So that was the episode where Newt Gunray, the Trade Federation viceroy, is prisoner, and he escapes from Ahsoka and Luminara. So it somehow, at some point, like after Jar Jar Binks captures Newt Gunray at the end of Bombad Jedi, that's when it switched. That's like the Imperial New Year must be like around then. Or I guess it's Republic New Year at this point in time. But yeah, it went from 22 BBY to 21 BBY. So I guess it's not like the in-universe start of the new year, but just the way that we track it in real life, where we use Battle of Yavin. I guess like the anniversary for something that hasn't happened yet occurs in between Bombad Jedi and Cloak of Darkness. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Dooku Captured all the way up to Liberty on Ryloth. So kind of like the back half of Season 1 mostly. We're skipping Season 1 Episode 16 because we already talked about it. That was the clone traitor episode, right? Hidden Enemy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was the second episode we discussed after Cat and Mouse, the Season 2 episode we discussed. But yeah, we've now covered all of Season 1 except for Season 1 Episode 22, which we'll get to at some point. But You can pretty much look at this as us wrapping up season 1, more or less, though, in traditional Star Wars fashion in a non-chronological order, but we rearranged it to be chronological, so... Clone Wars is kind of the interesting show with Star Wars because it was not released in chronological order, whereas, for the most part, I mean, like the movies, they did 4, 5, 6, then 1, 2, 3, then 7, 8, 9, but for the most part, all the other shows are you just watch them the order they come out.
Yeah.
This is the only time where you have to deal with this, so... Clone Wars is kind of an anomaly. I would say it's like the Star Wars TV show with the biggest fan base. I don't know, maybe people are more into The Mandalorian these days because of live action just attracts more viewers. But it is kind of the most atypical. I mean, for one, it's like so many fucking episodes. Like nothing else is ever going to be over 100 episodes again. They just don't make TV like that. 22 episode seasons anymore. But I'm like I keep saying, I'm enjoying it more now than ever before. So... watching it with Taylor and with anyone in our audience who chimes in on these streams, like Joel here, who is popping in while he's on his break at work. So, reminder that you can keep up with us when we're live at our random ass times we go live on and be part of the show with us. But we can go ahead and get started on our first episode that we're talking about, Dooku Captured. So this is... kind of a two-parter that introduces the beloved pirate character Hondo and his pirate gang. Mm-hmm. And we see Dooku and Obi-Wan and Anakin kind of all three have to work together to escape these pirates who are kind of funny. So a bit of a lighthearted fare in the middle of this big war story, but I'll go ahead and... we're going to read the synopses for these episodes to kind of recap them for people who might not have been binging the Clone Wars this last week and might not remember which episodes these are. And we're going to also be repeating the moral of the episodes. That each episode of Clone Wars opens with that. I've heard people call it the fortune cookie quote.
That is accurate.
But yeah, it's also the only Star Wars show that does that. So it's the only Star Wars show that Lucas was directly involved in. So, very much, kind of a unique entity in the Star Wars canon. But this first episode, Season 1, Episode 11, Dooku Captured. During their own attempt to kidnap Dooku, Anakin and Obi-Wan discover that the Sith Lord has already been captured by pirates. Hondo Ohnaka and his gang of pirates hold Dooku captive in their den on Florum and hold him for ransom. It is up to Anakin and Obi-Wan to see if the offer is too good to be true. And the moral of the episode is, the winding path to peace is always a worthy one, regardless of how many turns it takes.
That's funny, because there's lots of turns in this episode. Like with the backstabbing of the other pirates, and then do they ransom him to the Separatists? Do they ransom him to the Republic? Yeah, it's kind of funny.
And the episode also, it opens... The episode opens with Anakin had gotten captured so that he could get close to Dooku to capture him, right? Mm. So I almost feel like this was deep enough into production of Clone Wars that they figured out, like, oh, we can jump around our own timeline and tell stories out of order. And I feel like they were setting themselves up with the opportunity to tell, like, a prequel to this episode, right, where you see Anakin on that mission. And I also think that the episode ends with the opportunity to do, like, a in-between Dooku Captured and the Gungan General, because the ending of this episode doesn't really line up with the next episode. Like, at the end of this episode, it shows the pirates are trying to drug Anakin and Obi-Wan and knock them out, and they, like, switch the drinks, and they drink, like, different drinks. And that's how the episode ends. But then the next episode opens with them being like, oh, I guess we were drugged. So I feel like there was an opportunity there to tell something like in between, have like this crazy night in Hondo's pirate den. But I just thought I should point those things out. I don't know if anyone else has ever thought that watching this, but I don't know. That seems kind of apparent to me. But what did you think of Dooku Captured? Let's try to talk about Dooku Captured more than Gungan General. Or should we combine these?
It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do.
Okay, so anything before the Jar Jar rescue mission later?
Yeah, I think it's really fun to see them tethered together when they're all captured. Or that's actually in the second one, isn't it? See, I think we should do them together
Yeah,
because
okay.
my brain thinks of them as one episode.
Yeah, but so basically what happens in Dooku Captured is Obi-Wan and Anakin go to see these pirates. We get the introduction of Hondo, the recurring pirate in Star Wars. He's also in Rebels. He's in like the Disney World thing. Like the Rise of Resistance or whatever it's called. Like he's part of that. Yeah, the episode ends with Anakin and Obi-Wan being captured, and then we go into the Gungan General, Season 1, Episode 12. Anakin and Obi-Wan have been duped and are being held for ransom along with Count Dooku by the pirate chief Hondo Anaka and his second-in-command, Turk Falso. While Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Dooku unsuccessfully attempt to escape, the Republic sends the ransom via a special envoy, including Representative Jar Jar Binks. When Falso tries to steal the ransom from his boss by shooting down the shuttle, the only survivors are a squad of clones and Jar Jar, who, as the most senior officer alive, has to take charge on the mission. It becomes a race against time as Jar Jar rushes to deliver the ransom to take custody of Dooku.
Dooku.
To take custody of Dooku and save the Jedi. And the moral on that one is fail with honor rather than succeed by fraud. So that's been in a fortune cookie at some point. But yeah, so these two episodes combined.
I like the idea of space pirates a lot, and then still feeling very piratey. Like he has like the parrot on the shoulder kind of thing. It's not a parrot, but
it's a lizard monkey, like Jabba had.
Yeah. And, I don't know, and then backstabbing each other is kind of piratey.
It's very Pirates of the Caribbean. Those movies had already come out by the time this was made, so that had to have been some level of influence, I think. There's a little Jack Sparrow in Hondo.
Sure. And a little bit of Davy Jones' beard, even.
I like him when he's talking about like his mom, who is like my mom always said, 1 hostage is good, 2 hostages is better, 3 is just good business.
Yeah.
But I know one of the books Hondo talks about his mom a lot. One of the books he appears in. So that was kind of cool that they have that here in the show too. Because I don't remember that coming up a lot in later episodes, so I'll keep an eye out for that. I also like the flying saucer. I mean, like, it's kind of weird for Hondo and his pirates to be in a flying saucer, like an old school, like, 1950s sci-fi flying saucer UFO looking spaceship. Mm-hmm. But I know that was something like George Lucas always wanted to do. Like, he would always talk about that in interviews. He's like, I really want to have like aliens that look like gray aliens that people think visit Earth. I want to have them in Star Wars. And I don't know if he ever thought he had like a good opportunity to use them in the prequels. They kind of like the guys at that base where Padme dies at in Revenge of the Sith, I guess, were kind of like George Lucas's idea of like the gray aliens. But the flying saucer was another thing that I think he wanted to do for a long time. Never got around to it in the movies, but he did it here on the show. And we also get the gun darts, speaking of the original trilogy. But you know that line in The Empire Strikes Back after Luke comes out of the Bacta tank? And then Han Solo is like, you look strong enough to pull the ears off of a gun dart. Like, as a kid, I always wondered what... I thought he was saying, like, gun dart. Like a dart that you get shot out of a gun.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And, like, the ears would be, like, the fins. As, like, a little kid watching The Empire Strikes Back. That's what I thought he was talking about. But, I mean, I also my dog is shaking around because he's like, oh, this fool is reminiscing about his childhood watching Star Wars again. I mean, like, I also remember being, like, super little and, like, trying to figure out, like, oh, I guess, like, stormtroopers are, like, guys in armor. They're not robots, even though they kind of look like robots.
Yeah,
like,
I remember having that.
Yeah. So,
that feeling, too.
Like, when you start watching Star Wars when you're a baby, it takes a few years before you figure out all of the plot points, I guess. But yeah, some of the best stuff in this episode and some of the worst stuff in these 2-part episodes, I guess. But in Gungan General, you get all the stupid Jar Jar shit. Mm-hmm. And, you know, sometimes it's kind of hard to take these, like, bad guys seriously when Jar Jar can bring them down. But they really only pit Jar Jar against, like, I don't know, the pirates and some dumb battle droids. Like, Dooku seems pretty cool and pretty powerful in all of this. When he, at the end, when Dooku makes his escape, when he's force choking guys and stealing their ships.
Yeah.
And I also love the band. I'm sure everyone who watches these episodes and talks about them on the internet point out how good the banter is between Obi-Wan and Anakin and Dooku.
Yeah. I love all the scenes of them like tethered together. It's pretty funny.
Bye, Joel. He says he's got to go back to work, but thanks for popping in. There's that one good moment when Anakin is talking shit to Dooku, and Dooku says something like, Obi-Wan, tell your former apprentice to silence his insolence. I'm trying to concentrate. Yeah. And Obi-Wan's just like, Anakin, silence your insolence. The Duke is trying to concentrate. They're trolling him pretty hard. But the introduction of Hondo, the show gets a lot of mileage out of Hondo. Everyone loves Hondo. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I
actually kind of forgot that. This sounds bad. I kind of forgot that he was in Clone Wars. I think about him as a Rebels character.
Well, Rebels made me like so many characters, like Rex and Ahsoka, and yeah, like when I go watch this older stuff that they appeared in first, I appreciate it. Like we've seen Luminara a couple times, but we're coming up on the Beer. Well, I guess Beerus is all Clone Wars stuff, but also like some Tales of the Empire things, and I feel like now I'm going to pay more attention to Beerus's story than, before I knew that she's going to end up an Inquisitor. Spoiler alert for Tales of the Empire, but one of the rules of our show, the Other Star franchise, is we can spoil anything except for Skeleton Crew, because we haven't seen Skeleton Crew yet, so please no spoilers for Skeleton Crew. I know that's unfair, but I kind of want to talk about the ending of the Gungan General, but do you have any other thoughts on Dooku captured in the Gungan General?
No, go ahead.
Remember at the end when Dooku escapes and then Obi-Wan is like, well, I guess me and Anakin and the clones are going to get out of here. And Hondo is like, you mean like you're not going to beat me up or arrest me or anything? Yeah. And Obi-Wan's like, no, Jedi don't seek revenge. I was kind of thinking, like, I'm sure Hondo is still, like, wanted for some crimes against the Republic or something. But I also think, like, hey, maybe, like, the Jedi aren't supposed to be law enforcement. They're not supposed to be, like, the arms of the government. That's kind of part of their downfall, right? It's actually part of the story. So good on Obi-Wan for being like, oh, yeah, my Jedi Order no longer has any business with you. So we will part ways in peace. And Hondo kind of getting, like, a respect for the Jedi. And, like, he'll go on to call on Kenobi again in the future at some point. But let's move on to our next episode, Jedi Crash. And this also ties into Defenders of Peace. So we should talk about both of them together, I guess. Cool. Jedi Crash, Season 1, Episode 13. Anakin and Ahsoka arrived at a pitched sky battle to help besieged Jedi General Aayla Secura. I don't know if I got her name right, but the blue Twi'Lek lady. Anakin is gravely injured in the fight. Aayla and Ahsoka, along with the now wounded Anakin, Rex, and the surviving clones, crash land on the uncharted grass-covered planet Meriden. Forced to leave Anakin behind in order to save him, Aayla teaches Ahsoka why the Jedi have no personal attachments. They make their way to a Lurman village. Their ruler, Tiwat Ka, explains that they are pacifist in this war and not aligned with either side. Hesitant to have anything to do with the Jedi, Ka agrees to help save Anakin's life. And the moral is greed and fear of loss are the roots that lead to the tree of evil. And our cat lady agrees with that.
That was Tux.
Oh, Tux. Tux agrees with that. Then that's followed by Season 1, Episode 14, Defenders of Peace. Tiwat Ka, by the way, he's like the leader of the Pacifist Lemurs. That's who these Lurmans are. You might remember there's some Pacifist Lemurs that are against war and have Scottish accents in these two episodes. But in Defenders of Peace, Tiwat Ka refuses to shelter the Jedi from arriving separatist forces, fearing that such an action would unnecessarily bring his neutral planet into war. Ahsoka, Ayala, the wounded Anakin, and the rest of the clones respect their wishes as they do not want to jeopardize the village with their presence, so they have to retreat into the wilds of the planet. Separatist Nemodian General Lok Durd arrives to test a devastating weapon which they plan to use on the Lurmen. Ultimately, the villagers have to decide whether they will surrender to the Separatists or fight with the Jedi to defend their village. And the moral is, when surrounded by war, one must eventually choose a side.
True. Hey, we're seeing that right now.
But I do like the anti-war sentiment of the Lurmen, and I can understand their plight to be like, yeah, we don't want to be with the Republic or the Separatists. We just want to get out of this and not worry about it. But yeah, unfortunately, some problems become so big that even if they're not your problem directly now, they will be eventually if you don't help do something about them. That's all at the core of this. But also just like knowing like George Lucas's history and kind of his opposition to the Vietnam War as a young boomer in America. There's a lot of ideas that I think he'd probably liked seeing expressed in these episodes. And the first one, Jedi Crash, that's the one that was written by Katie Lucas out of these two. I think that's right. I know one of them, but I think Jedi Crash, yeah. And then Defenders of Peace, they have one of our Star Trek actors, a big one, George Takei, as the Nemoidian. Kind of weird because they give all the Nemoidians, like, very stereotypical, like, Asian accents in The Phantom Menace. And they're like, George Takei is, like, one of the most famous Asian actors. Let's hire him on the Clone Wars show, but it's still kind of cool to see the Star Trek, Star Wars crossover there. And it was cool, like, I mean, Anakin defeats the George Takei Nemoidian, so it's basically like Darth Vader beats Sulu in this episode.
Yeah, I liked the second episode a little bit more when things were getting a little bit crazy. But, like, they have that weapon that they're, like, going to test out to basically wipe out this whole little colony of lemurs, which is pretty depressing. But I think it was interesting, like, how their leader didn't really want to, like, obviously, like, they talk about being pacifists and stuff, but I think it's kind of hard to, like, how can you be a pacifist if literally you see this giant weapon that's going to come annihilate your whole colony? Like, that just is insane to me. Like, I definitely understand where his, the kid was coming from, the lemur kid, you know, where he's like, I'm going to rally the forces instead.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was kind of, I guess if there is like a message to these episodes, it is the moral of the second one, right? When surrounded by war, one must eventually choose a side. So that's very obvious, I guess. I want to talk about the our blue Jedi lady, though, Ayala.
Sakura?
Ayala Sakura, yeah. So another Jedi Master that Ahsoka gets to spend some time with. You know, I was commenting on, she learns a lot from Anakin. She learns a lot from Obi-Wan. She learns a lot from Plo Koon. She learns a lot from Rex and the clones. And then you also see her teamed up with other Jedi frequently. She's spent time with Luminara on like a whole mission with her. And then here with Ayala Sakura. I also want to point out that why do Obi-Wan and Anakin, they wear like a ton of armor? And, well, not like a ton of armor, but they have like some armor built into their robes. But then Ahsoka and Ayala Sakura wear like these very revealing tank tops.
They're like tube tops.
Yeah,
They're
tube
not
tops.
even a tank
yeah.
Because their stomach is also exposed. Yeah, it's super awkward.
And Ahsoka's also supposed to be like 14, so it's just kind of, I feel like if the show came out today, they would know better than to have her be that young and in a wardrobe that kind of sexualized, you know, is...
I think they would do the same, like, no, I think that, like, they wouldn't get away with that either for Sakura at this point. Like, I think that it's definitely over-sexualized. And this is a kid's show, too, which is kind of weird.
It goes back to a 90s comic book artist, where they were just, like, the horniest guys ever, and they had to draw every character to be like the sexiest babe, just this like traditional image of like, oh yeah, we got to put her like the skimpy outfit and make her like real curvy, and that just kind of polluted, I guess, like all the designs for everything for a long time. Like every woman had to be in a ridiculous outfit. But recently, I think just media in general handles that better. Like when you watch like the new Star Wars shows, it's like on the Acolyte, like all the women Jedi, they just have like normal Jedi robes.
Yeah, thank God we've improved.
I guess they're not all like that because you still have like Shaak Ti and Luminara. But yeah, there was definitely like we have to have like some Jedi chicks in skimpier outfits. Definitely seemed to have been that was a priority at one point for someone at Lucasfilm. But it is cool to see that Jedi variety, though. I do like that we have Jedi Master... Yeah, Jedi Master Sakura. We don't really see her much. I kind of like the woman who plays her in the movies kind of does this ridiculous performance when she dies during the Execute Order 66 montage. I mean, like, she wasn't a trained actor. She was someone who, like, worked at Lucasfilm, who they were like, hey, you'd be a hot Twi'Lek. Can we, like, paint you blue? So that you look like this character George Lucas saw on the cover of a Star Wars comic, and he was like, we should put someone like that in Attack of the Clones. If you go back and you look at that shot of her in Attack of the Clones, and she just kind of walks across the Jedi Temple, that was something that they did in post-production, added in. But, I don't really remember her being much of a player in other Clone Wars episodes after this, though. I'm sure she shows up eventually, but this is kind of the only thing I remember her doing in the Clone Wars. She's there in the Scottish Lemur episode.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm forgetting something though. I haven't watched the Clone Wars in a while, so a lot of these, I start the episode and I'm like, wait a minute, how exactly do they resolve this? So I'm kind of getting the. I've waited long enough that the episodes are especially interesting when I go back and revisit them now. Should we move on? I don't know. Do we have any other thoughts on the Lermans?
Nah.
I'm just checking my notes. Oh, the hyperspace stuff. That at the beginning of Jedi Crash, yeah, like before they crash, they're in a battle and the hyperdrive activates when it's not supposed to. But in the prequel movies, there are no shots of actual hyperspace, like when ships are traveling at hyperdrive. It's like they showed that in the original trilogy, and then the prequel movies, for whatever reason, didn't want to show it. So when we see it in Jedi Crash, I was like, oh, that's like the first shot of hyperspace in years, since 1983, I guess.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess technically the special edition in 1997 still had it, but that doesn't count. Or maybe it does. I don't know. Moving on. Season 1, Episode 15, Trespass. Arriving on the desolated ice world of Orto Plutonia, Anakin and Obi-Wan investigate the disappearance of a clone security force stationed on a remote outpost. The Jedi, accompanied by Senator Rio Chuchi and Chairman Cho of the nearby moon of Pantora, soon discover their clone troopers were attacked by a tribe of furry natives known as the Talls. Fierce beast-riding warriors, the Talls are very territorial and only want to be left alone. The Jedi manage to negotiate peace with the Talls' chieftain, Tai Sin, when greedy Chairman Cho breaks it by insisting that the planet and the Talls are under his power. The resulting conflict escalates into war between the clones and the Talls, and the Jedi caught in the middle. And the moral of the episode is, arrogance diminishes wisdom.
Accurate.
Yeah, I feel like that's very, that can apply to a lot of stories, but,
Yeah, this one was a standout for me when I watched it a lot in the early 2020s.
Really?
Yeah, I remember this one bothered me so much because Cho was just so adamant that this was his land and these people need to be wiped out, and like he's supposed to be like a good guy, like quote unquote good guy.
I thought he was supposed to be like an Israeli settler in the West Bank with how he was acting, but
well, yeah, but like in theory, like he's supposed to be like the Republic,
but
right?
you know,
Which, quote unquote is the good side.
I think that's good to, and I think Lucas kind of always had the message very muddled in the prequels, but that's good to show the corrupted bad sides of the Republic.
Yeah, and
the
I think-
proto-empire is starting to emerge.
Yeah, they do a really good job introducing characters that are like this in Clone Wars and in the Tales. But I also remember being very frustrated with was she a senator? What's her name again? I'm sorry.
The names in this episode are ridiculous. Like
Chuchi.
Chuchi is the senator, and she comes back in the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Spoilers. But yeah, and then the chairman is Chi Cho.
Yeah,
so we have
they're
Chi
also-
Cho and Chuchi.
That's too similar. But Chuchi always drive me nuts because it was weird to me. Oh, that's the Instapot. Sorry, y'all.
I don't know if they can hear
It'll
it.
go off.
Our kitchen appliance is beeping in another room. But
Sorry.
That's okay.
But it bothered me that Chuchi was like in this. Was she a senator? I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's a member of the
And
Senate.
she's like, "What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?" And I'm just like, "Do your job." Like, Jesus.
Why do y'all keep electing kids to the Senate?
Yeah, I was like, maybe get someone in here who has experience, or like maybe if you get elected, like learn your role and like what you're allowed to do.
I mean, Carrie Fisher was 19 when she was a senator, but...
Yeah, it's like, but it just makes me a little bit irritated because it kind of leans into like this, like, oh, dumb girl senator trope that I don't like, and it's like, I wish she had a little bit more conviction, which I guess we learn, like, she gains some of that confidence in this episode, so that
After a lot of people die, there's an extremely high body count
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
episode. A lot of clones die, a lot of the Talls die.
Mm-hmm.
And the Talls are like that's a Cantina alien species. I mention that from time to time, Cantina aliens. But,
Yeah.
you know, most of the Star Wars aliens that we got from the original trilogy only come from two scenes. Most of them we got from the Cantina scene and Jabba's palace. And then I guess you got like some bounty hunters in Empire Strikes Back. But, you know, like Ugnaughts on Cloud City, you know, Jawa is all over the place on Tatooine, Ewoks on Endor. But most of the aliens that came out of the original trilogy are in like those two scenes. So, and Clone Wars expands on a lot of them. And the Talls, I guess, they had been explained in some books and things in the old expanded universe, but this show was like, okay, we're actually going to ignore all of that and then make them be these were they indigenous to that planet? I guess they were, because like they didn't have any technology or anything.
Yeah.
So they were from there. But yeah, to be this indigenous population. But yeah, it is kind of a frustrating watch, and I don't know. I think like the body count in the episodes is kind of ridiculous. Like, oh, like all these poor Talls die and all these clones die, but yeah, in my notes I wrote a high body count for no good reason. But yeah, that is kind of the point. And that is kind of like the whole Clone Wars. It's like a whole war for no good point. This entire war was just for Palpatine to gain more power.
Yeah.
And so all these people who die, even like the show gets more brutal. I know, like in season 4, like the death really seems to become more frequent. But even here in season 1, I'm kind of surprised. Like we've actually already seen a lot of death on this Cartoon Network show.
It always is surprising because I feel like a lot of shows I've watched, it's always a little ambiguous if characters are dying. But like in this show, it's like, and another one, and another one. Like they just like drop like flies.
And another one
sometimes.
bites the dust.
Yeah.
And another one, yeah, another one, yeah, another one bites the dust. Rex looked so cool in his snow gear. I
Yeah.
made a note of Snow Rex looks cool.
Yeah.
I want toys of these snow clones. I think that'd be a cool action figure. I don't know if they made like a Black Series snow clone, but if they do, I want it. Anything else on Trespass?
Now let's move to that silly Naboo stuff.
Okay. Blue Shadow Virus and Mystery of 1,000 Moons. Those are two-parters, but I think they're different enough. We can talk about them one at a time. No, combine them?
Yeah.
Okay. So Blue Shadow Virus, there's like a separatist blue alien Nazi guy making
Literally.
a virus on Naboo with a cartoony German accent. And then Mystery of 1,000 Moons is they go to the system with 1,000 moons, the moons of Iago, that were mentioned in the Phantom Menace, to get a cure for the virus. I'll go ahead and read the synopses and morals for these. So first up, Season 1, Episode 17, Blue Shadow Virus. The Republic discovers a separatist bioweapon lab hidden on the planet of Naboo. Rather than wait for help, Padme explores the lab with Jar Jar. Anakin, Ahsoka, Rex, and Obi-Wan arrive and follow after her. They find that the Senator is being held captive by the sinister Dr. Nuvo Vindi. The mad scientist has been developing a lethal virus for the Separatists. Vindi threatens to set off a bomb and release the virus. The moral is, fear is a disease, hope is its only cure. And then the next episode, Season 1, Episode 18, Mystery of 1,000 Moons. Even though the lab has been shut down, Dr. Vindi manages to activate the dreaded Blue Shadow virus, infecting Ahsoka, Padme, and many clone troopers. The plague is fatal within 48 hours. Anakin and Obi-Wan must travel to the mysterious planet of Iago to secure the only known antidote to the sickness. They arrive to find its population living in fear of a mysterious force that has been killing anything that tries to leave their world. With the help of J-Bo Hood, a clever Iagoan boy... how do you say Iagoan? Maybe it's like Iagoan boy.
He's from Iago.
Yeah. Anakin and Obi-Wan must solve the planet's mystery before they can leave and before everyone infected with the Separatist virus dies. And the moral is, a single chance is a galaxy of hope. And yeah, I guess they have to like hold out their hope a lot because they have to go through like a lot of shit to get the it was like just like a route to make the cure.
Yeah.
Like they go to this other planet and then they get there and then they're like, okay, we have to go like, climb up this mountain and go next to this monster to get the root or whatever. And so like they do all that and then it's like, okay, but you also can't leave the planet because the moons are haunted by a ghost. There's a ghost that will stop your ship from leaving. But it wasn't a ghost, it was just like a separatist security grid. If you know Star Trek like us, then you would agree that it looks like a Tholian web.
Yep.
But the security lasers.
Yep. Yeah, I think this was hard to watch. It was like the stuff with Jar Jar on Naboo. I don't know.
Well, they add the girl Jar Jar. They add like this. They add like a Jar Jar girlfriend character with Pepe Bo.
It's just so dumb. And like the virus thing, it's I don't know. Like it's so very cartoonish. Like this, it feels like watching like Dexter's Laboratory or something. And it's kind of weird. Like this scientist guy is like regenerating this virus. Like he isn't creating it. Like it already was a thing, and that they had like eradicated it, and he's bringing it back. And he's like in love with this virus. Like he has this like, weird obsession with it.
It's like how like all the anti-vax parents are like, we're gonna bring back measles.
Yeah. So, definitely odd. I liked the follow-up episode better where Anakin and Obi-Wan are getting the cure for everyone infected. But you know what's really stupid is like it's all Jar Jar's fault that they all get infected. Like he's such a nemesis.
You said it was his fault in the Gungan General. You said it was his fault that other representative dies.
Yeah. He literally has a high kill count. Like he's like an accidental, like they need to not bring him on missions. Like if he's on missions, the kill count is higher. And if he's not there, I'm sure it's lower. Like I just feel like, I don't know if that's causation.
Well, okay, why do you think it's his fault? What did he do?
Well, like one example in this last episode, Mystery of the 1,000 Moons, is he punctures Padme's suit.
Right.
Ahsoka apologizes for it. She's like, sorry, Padme, I didn't mean to. I'm like, it wasn't your fault. Literally, it was Jar Jar who did that.
It was her job to protect the senator, right?
Well, it was annoying that Padme was like, "Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Ahsoka,
it's not your fault." I'm like, "Yeah, because it's Jar Jar's fault. He doesn't know how to apologize or understand like any of the consequences of his actions because you guys don't hold him accountable."
Well, he didn't mean to.
I hate that character.
Well, who doesn't? But I'll say this: it is kind of bold of the Clone Wars to be like, you know what? We're not going to apologize for Jar Jar. We're just gonna put Jar Jar in our show. He is a big part of the prequels. He's gonna be a big part of our show.
Hisa needs to apologize.
Now, the 2D Clone Wars that I was a big fan of back in the day has no Jar Jar. So, yeah, these episodes. I guess I don't mind Mystery of a Thousand Moons as much, like you were saying. I kind of like the new character we get there. But Blue Shadow Virus is, to me, like that's worse than Bombad Jedi. That's my least favorite episode of the Clone Wars we've watched so far. I think I dislike Attack of the Clones more. Attack of the Clones, I think, is the worst thing we've watched in our chronological rewatch. Or at least... I'll say it is my least favorite.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
It's pretty bad. It's the poisoning of the water stuff is bad, like where like all those animals die, and she's like,
the water with poodoo.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, like we can't even get better dialogue.
Yeah, like it's hard to take it. Like it's hard. Is it supposed to be like scary? Like, oh my god, like the separatists are so deadly, and this whole flock of animals were just killed. Whereas it's supposed to be funny. Like,
yeah, it's not good. It's really badly written, but yeah, I did like the Tholian web, like destruction of that, and them freeing that planet as like a side quest to like getting the antidote for the virus, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, the kid Jabo, who had all the repurposed battle droids.
Oh yeah, he had like reprogrammed them all. That was really cool to see.
He never shows up again. Unless he's in like a book or something.
I don't know. He would be great in Rebels too.
Yeah, like I'm surprised the none of the shows ever used. I mean, maybe he'll show up in the Darth Maul show. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's that new Darth Maul show coming out this year.
The other thing that bothered me in this episode is when some of the clones get the virus and they die, and Padme says like, "What a waste," and then Rex is like, "Well, it's kind of what they were born to do."
Yeah, I'm
like, were they really being bred and raised and trained to be killed by a virus in this pit hole that Jar Jar got all stuck into? Like, no. They were born for, like, they were raised for combat and for war, not to be, like, holed up down there.
I mean, I don't know if that's much better. But...
It isn't, but at least they have a fighting chance. Like, them being exposed to this virus that kills you within 48 hours, that's pretty fucked up.
One thing I keep meaning to mention, but I never bring it up, but as we're watching Clone Wars, I like that they have that ship, the Twilight, that they acquired in the movie. And I remember the first time I realized, like, oh, this is like a recurring ship that they're going to have. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I can see that how this TV show tries to be a little bit more like the original trilogy than the prequel movies. In a lot of good ways that I like. Like, I like them having this kind of, their own version of the Millennium Falcon with... the Twilight. The prequel movies, like, they don't really have, like, their own ship,
Yeah.
Whereas, I guess, I guess it just, the sequel trilogy is, we're just gonna have the Millennium Falcon again.
I mean, good ship.
Yeah, I love the Ghost on Rebels. I gotta say, like, I like the Ghost a little bit more, and I know that's blasphemous as a old school original trilogy fanboy, but the Twilight is good for Clone Wars. I guess what I also think is cool about it is that it's an old spice freighter, and that's like the first thing we learn about that ship in the movie when Anakin steals it. I guess that's when they're trying to get the Hutt home. The Huttlet. Yeah. So he calls it an old spice freighter, and the reason why that's cool to me is because in the original trilogy in Star Wars way back in 1977. Luke says to Obi-Wan, "Oh, my father didn't fight in the Clone Wars. He was a navigator on Old Spice Freighter." So at some point, Uncle Owen told Luke, like, Luke was like, "What did my dad do in the Clone Wars?" And Owen said he was just a navigator on Old Spice Freighter. I think he was talking about the Twilight. Like, he knew about this ship.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So I think that's just cool. It's like Owen did that from a certain point of view shit too that Obi-Wan did, you know?
Yeah.
They actually have a lot more in common, Owen and Obi-Wan. It's gonna be fun to... I have some big gripes about the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, but there's some stuff I legit like in it, and I love Uncle Owen in that show.
Yeah.
I just think it would have been a way better show if it ended one episode sooner. But
Yeah.
if you watch that show and you stop after 5 episodes and don't watch the 6th episode, I think it's way better. And the cat agrees or disagrees with me. I can't understand because I don't speak.
We don't
meow.
speak cat.
Anything else on Mystery of a Thousand Moons and Blue Shadow Virus?
Let's swap over to Ryloth.
Okay, yeah. So the next 3 episodes. Do we need to combine these 3?
Yes.
Okay. So,
They're all kind of their own, like they're kind of cliffhangery, but they are all kind of not. It's weird, like because it's all like a continuation of the same story or the same like battle area, whatever. But they do work standalone.
yeah, that was the goal with Clone Wars, that they wanted to be able to tell these larger arcs, but also if a kid turned on the TV and they just watched one episode by itself, it would still be a satisfying story. But these 3 are called Storms Over... I'm sorry, just one storm, singular. Storm over Ryloth, Innocence of Ryloth, and Liberty on Ryloth. I'll read the synopses for this. So first one, Season 1, Episode 19, Storm over Ryloth. I should do these in like the announcer voice. Ryloth, homeworld of the Twi'Lek people, has been subjected to military occupation by the droid army of the Separatist and surrounded by a blockade of Trade Federation battleships. While launching a surprise attack against the blockade, Ahsoka disobeys Anakin's orders and ends up losing most of her squadron. Even though she is emotionally rocked by this failure, I sound like I'm just like talking shit about Ahsoka. She got her whole squadron killed. She can't handle it. She's too emotional and unstable. But then Anakin helps her learn to preserve, placing her in charge of Anakin helps her persevere. That makes more sense. Helps her learn to persevere. I swear I know how to read. Placing her in charge of another risky attack. And the moral is, it is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. But yeah, Ahsoka commands a squadron and a lot of people die. So I guess this is the first time she like commands men to their death.
Yeah.
And it's her fault. She's the one giving them orders.
Can't blame Jar Jar for that one.
Yeah. And you're like the one... It's like when the buck stops with you, you know, it's like, well, you know, it's not like the Senator is in charge or General Skywalker is in charge. I was actually the one in charge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had some space battle, some ship combat stuff. The next episode, Season 1, Episode 20, Innocence of Ryloth. Yeah, with the space blockade around Ryloth destroyed, Obi-Wan must lead a small clone force into a droid-occupied town to sabotage their anti-aircraft guns. Obi-Wan's mission is complicated when he learns the town's inhabitants are being used as living shields. A pair of clones in his platoon forges an unlikely friendship with a refugee Twi'Lek girl, Numa, who has been orphaned by the war. Through their relationship with her, the clones begin to understand the real cost of the war. And the moral is, the cost of war can never be truly accounted for. So when we're the little Twi'lek girl, Numa, she keeps calling Boyle and Waxer, or the 2 clones, and she calls them Nira. And then at the end, we learn, Nira means brothers. Mm-hmm. And Numa comes back in Rebels. We see her again.
Cool.
The last episode we're going to talk about today, Season 1, Episode 21, Liberty on Ryloth. And the 3rd installment of this Ryloth arc trilogy. The battle for Ryloth rages as the Republic attempts to drive off the occupying droid army led by Techno-Union foreman Wat Tambor. With his forces stretched thin, Mace Windu must convince Twi'lek freedom fighter Cham Syndulla to help him save the capital city from the droid's destruction. Initially, the Twi'lek hero is hesitant to aid Mace, but ultimately he realizes that the Jedi can be trusted and joins with them to liberate the city and ultimately the planet in the climactic battle. And the moral is, compromise is a virtue to be cultivated, not a weakness to be despised. But yeah, this one had a lot of Mace Windu action. We were saying he's a very grumpy Jedi.
Yeah.
And he's like so aggressively like murdering these battle droids, and they're just like like these goofy buffoon. Yeah, it is Mace Windu is just like so. They do a good job. Like he does seem like more powerful than the average Jedi.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's also. I used to give the prequel trilogy a lot of shit for making Mace Windu so unlikable, and I guess in the movies he's like just dull and boring.
Yeah.
But I guess he's just kind of a I don't know. He's just kind of a buzzkill in Clone Wars, but I kind of like that. That's
He's like, I just want to be sipping tea in the temple. Like, he's like so ready to just be retired.
Yeah, he's mad. He's like, I want to go back to being like a useless figurehead at the top of this order that's not really like fulfilling the role it's supposed to in the galaxy. I was going to go back to being just like this incompetent figurehead, just hanging out in the Jedi Temple in my chair with Yoda. But I'm out here fighting a war. I'm out here like commanding clones and chopping down droids. Hera's dad, I guess this is my favorite of the three. Liberty on Ryloth is my favorite because Hera's dad, Cham Syndulla, is such a badass.
Yeah.
We did see a little bit of him before when we watched the episode. I'll have to scroll up in the spreadsheet. But yeah, it was season 3, episode 3, Supply Lines, when Bell Organa and Jar Jar Binks had to go to the Toydarian king to get aid for the poor Twi'leks on Ryloth. And I used to think, oh man, when they, ordered all of this stuff in the official chronological order on StarWars.com, it would have made more sense to have that episode closer to these episodes, right? But I kind of like it, man. Like, man, it's been like months and months that the Twi'leks have been like under siege, like they've been oppressed for a while, so you kind of understand Cham Syndulla's frustrations a bit more and his mistrust of the Jedi when he tells Mace Windu like like I'll fight to get the Separatists off of this planet, but then how long until I'm fighting you to drive you off of this planet? And kind of foreshadows the Empire and their domination of Ryloth, and Rebels you see Cham Syndulla doing the same type of stuff but against the Empire.
Yeah.
So
I also think I like Cham butting heads with their senator or their representative.
Oh yeah.
Of Ryloth.
Yeah, the corrupt, fat, rich guy, bloated politician.
Yeah.
Just sitting in his comfortable office on Coruscant.
While his people are literally starving and like have been at war for months and months, like we just talked about.
Yeah. So that was cool to see.
But yeah, I like a lot of the Ryloth stuff. The little kid one hits pretty hard with Numa, on her own, and the clones kind of taking her under their wing. I think it was really cool to see the clones interact with like a kid, because even in this episode they kind of come across as like a little bit, I don't want to say racist
against Twilight. They call them the tailheads. Yeah.
And like they say some comments I think about the colors of their skin, even like green or blue, I don't know. And and they kind of are like a little bit odd, in my opinion, with their first interactions with this little kid. And to be fair, like, they've probably never really interacted with kids except for Padawans, if you even count Padawans as kids and not just teenagers. But, like,
But yeah, they don't interact with many people other than, like, other clones and then occasionally Jedi. They don't really have any, like, unlike typical soldiers who, at some point had a civilian life. These guys don't. They don't have kids. They don't have families. Like, they don't do any of that stuff. So yeah, it was. But like this is what they're supposed to be fighting for, right? Like the people of the Republic. So, but
I think they learned that in this episode a little bit, because I think like they aren't really thinking about they're fighting a war for innocent people. I think that they're fighting a war because they're told to fight the war. And so for these two, they get like their first time perspective of like, oh, we're like like these are people, and like this is a kid that we're fighting.
It's
for.
when they realize that she'd been calling us brother this whole time. Like she like looks to us as like brothers to like like protect her and stuff. And they're like knowing that someone saw me and like they saw that in me, like it makes me want to be that for them.
Yeah.
And then after this, we see one of them again, and they have like a Twi'Lek on their armor. They have like a Twi'Lek figure,
little like petroglyph, but not. It's very like amateurish drawing, but it's very cute. Yeah, and we see that later. It's still on his armor in future episodes we haven't gotten to yet. But I remember that. Yeah. And then I also wanted to talk about the Ahsoka episode some more.
Oh, just before you do that, I just wanted to say something else about Numa. When we see her in Rebels fighting the Empire on Ryloth, her armor looks kind of it resembles like this clone armor.
Oh, cool. I don't know if I've actually realized that she was in Rebels, so I'm
we'll
excited
point her
for
out
you.
when we get there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm excited for you to point her out.
But what were you gonna say about the Ahsoka episode?
Oh, my heart was so sad for her.
Yeah, I remember when we were watching that one, and like the episode started, and then like 2 minutes into it, it wasn't even that long, like 30 seconds into it, you were like, "Oh, I hate this episode," and I'm like,
yeah,
"Why is she hating this? I don't."
I don't like my girl feeling this down on herself. Like this is a crazy thing. Like I just think about like her being 14 and she's commanding these, and she's so confident, because she's got Anakin and she's got to like feign and fake her way through a lot of things, but also I do genuinely think that she has like confidence and maybe sometimes arrogance, but also she's 14, and like if you're in real life a 14-year-old learning a lesson, it's not involving other people's lives, and it's so uncomfortable to like watch her have to like experience this and like know that she was the reason that some of these clones died, and she's close to them and she cares about them, and it's really hard to watch that.
Well, war is hell.
Yeah.
I like having the like Star Wars it can make like war look very like exciting and fun. Like that's kind of part of the charm, is it'll be like, oh yeah, the simplicity of like these scrappy good guys going after these mean, evil, all-powerful, authoritarian bad guys, and it's fun to like blow up TIE fighters and shoot stormtroopers and all of that. But yeah, like there's also the reality of that. Like go watch Andor for like a dose of reality along with that. And
yeah,
I like I used to be like, oh yeah, I kind of want Star Wars. I don't want it to have much thought to it. Just make it be this pure, simple, like dumb, fun action adventure thing. But I don't know. You can only go so deep with that, especially like if you're gonna have like this big, long-lasting franchise. It's probably good to chew on some bigger ideas. And like I'm not like, yeah, war is hell. War ruins lives. War will deprive teenagers from their childhood. I'm not saying like anything that's particularly new or innovative or unique to Star Wars. So it's I think it's a level of nuance and sophistication that our fun action adventure franchise can handle to delve into.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably essential to do that at this point when you're telling this many stories. That's something I never gave the prequels enough credit for when they were coming out, and while I still don't think they're particularly good movies, I did have a good time rewatching The Phantom Menace with you recently, though.
Yeah.
And Attack of the Clones is just I don't know, it's just not fun to watch, but I'm sure I enjoyed some parts of it, but. The idea of like the Republic getting nastier and nastier, and just like, okay, well, this is always a red line we wouldn't cross, but we're in war with these separatists, and maybe if we just a little bit more, and kind of like that creep, that fascism creep that sets in. That's a message that I don't think like the movies were particularly clear enough on, but the other media really helps enhance that, and It's something that when you're looking for it in Clone Wars, especially if when you're watching the whole franchise in this chronological order, you see the slow evolution of the Empire, and um, just like a lot of things with the Jedi, the Jedi being like, the Phantom Menace, like, we're not soldiers, we can't fight a war for you. We can protect you, but we can't fight a war. And then here in Attack of the Clones, you're like, okay, like Jedi are gonna start commanding armies now, and we get into Clone Wars, and it's like this whole like over 100 episode show about the war. It's just like you see more and more of those compromises, and it's kind of the same thing as Palpatine just being voted. Oh, we'll just give him a little bit more authority, a little bit more authority. We'll let him like overstay his term a little bit longer. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I guess it's just to say that, like, yeah, I guess like it's that's why I think it's good to have like Ahsoka be tortured a little bit in this story. I want like some of that like war is hell reality in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just it sucks.
And I still have fun with like oh yeah, it's fun to see the clones shoot droids.
Yeah, I did like that later she does make a decision like of how to position the ship or whatever, and she stands her ground. And then what's the admiral's name? Walks in.
Yularen.
Yeah, Yularen. He comes in and he backs her up. I thought that was a good like recovery for her too.
Yularen seems like an all right guy in Clone Wars. How do you feel about him becoming a dirty Imperial bastard?
Well, I guess it'll be interesting watching his decline.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't really... he shows up in Rebels once and Andor once, and then he's on the Death Star and blows up. But well, I guess you get more Yularen in Clone Wars than anything else, by far.
Interesting.
At one point before the Clone Wars, he fought a space battle against a spider who could track cloaked ships. That's about all we know about the guy. He'll go off to be in the Imperial CIA. But I'm looking at my notes. I don't think I have anything left. So I don't know if the Liberty on Ryloth episode, was that about compromise? The moral is compromise is a virtue to be cultivated, not a weakness to be despised.
Cham had to compromise his beliefs. He had to work with people he didn't want to work with.
Well, like, Cham Syndulla is cool. Hera's dad is cool. I like this freedom fighter riding around on his blurg. Those are from one of the Ewok movies that you haven't seen. But they bring those back in The Mandalorian. That Ugnaught, the guy, like, I have spoken guy. Like, he rides a blurg.
Yeah. Also, one of Cham's friends that shows up at a later episode when there's 3 of them. I want to say it's a Rebels episode because it's a Hera-centric one. But he shows up in this episode for the first time. Oh,
speaking of Rebels, we should talk about... they had those Y-Wings in the Ahsoka episode. They were flying Y-Wings.
Uh-huh.
And one of the Y-Wings shot down on Ryloth. I don't know if it's necessarily like one that would have been in that episode. But at some point during the battles on Ryloth, a Republic Y-Wing is shot down that Chopper is in. And he's recovered by little kid Hera during this time on Ryloth. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, I knew like she recovered him, but I didn't realize it was probably right now.
Yeah. So we're getting close to some big Chopper events then. We'll finally see Chopper and Rebels. I said that Chopper was possibly my favorite Star Wars character. I don't know. I guess we should probably wrap up. I'm excited to go watch more Star Wars. Sitting here talking about it, I'm like, okay, we talked about all this stuff. I'm ready to go watch more. So I need to wrap up before it's our bedtime, so I can go back and get started on season 2. So our next round of episodes, if people can look at our spreadsheet. By the way, there's links to our spreadsheet wherever you're watching or listening to us. But the next episode we're going to do is Holocron Heist, the first episode of season 1. I'm sorry, of season 2. So we've pretty much gotten to season 2. We're like it's like, oh man, like I guess like we're really doing this. We're like deep into the Clone Wars now in our chronological rewatch. We're in the year 21 BBY, so but yeah, a long ways to get out of the Clone Wars. But 19 BBY will get here eventually, and then we'll get around to Revenge of the Sith, and then we're free to other things like The Bad Batch and Rebels and Andor. Eventually, we'll get to the original trilogy, which is going to be cool as hell. A lot of movies like the Solo movie, the Rogue One movie, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. It's going to be fun. So, and then last but not least, after we get through Mandalorian and Boba Fett and Ahsoka, we'll finally watch Skeleton Crew for the first time in our lives. I don't know. Maybe we'll love it. Maybe we'll hate it. Keep coming back to get our thoughts, and eventually you'll also know how we feel about Skeleton Crew. And hopefully we get all that done before May 22nd when we go see The Mandalorian and Grogu in theater. So that will be really weird, Taylor, to get out of the house and go see Star Wars in the movie theater again.
Yeah.
So haven't done that in a while. Like, goodness, it's been 7 years since the last Star Wars movie. So.
Wow. I didn't realize it'd been so long.
Yeah, 2019 for... Sorry, I just bumped the microphone. 2019 for The Rise of Skywalker, right? That will do it for today, though. Please come back next time. And remember, the Empire is for bootlickers. Be a rebel, and may the Force be with you.